I look to you, Lord. Your love that never ends restores me again. So I lift my eyes to you, Lord. In your strength will I break through, Lord. Touch me now. Let your love fall down on me. I know your love dispels all my fears. Through the storm I will hold on, Lord, and by faith I will walk on, Lord. Then I'll see beyond my Calvary one day, and I will be complete in you.
Here I am, oh God.
Here
I lay sacrifice, my open heart. I offer up my life. I look to you, Lord.
your love that never ends restores me again. So I lift my eyes to you, Lord. In your strength will I break through, Lord. Touch me now.
Saka na.
I am surprised by what I have read in a book entitled World Religion Demystified.
Yes.
In the definition of sin, I am surprised to read
Then.
that sin is not a nature of the person. In the Hebrew word for Satan, which means adversary, the Jewish people believe that one of the things human beings struggle against every day is their evil inclination. It is only inclination. In our vernacular term, that is pagkahilig. This is not a force or a being within Judaism, but rather the inherent ability to do evil in the world. Using the term Satan to describe the evil inclination is not, this is not the general practice. You can still remember when the Lord has declared to Peter that by his testimony he will have the key to open the kingdom of heaven and no evil can prevail against it. But later, he declared him to be a devil because he was having another plan to prevent the fulfillment of the plan of God to for the Messiah to be crucified. He will prevent it. So he was called a devil. But there were people who believed that it was only a reflection of the spirit that was in Peter when he said that he will not allow that the Lord will be separated from them.
Or martyred.
Or martyr. Yeah, that's the better word, martyr. Sin is regarded in Judaism as an action undertaken by the humans. It is not as a state of being. It is not a human nature to be. Only a leaning, whether to the left or to the right, but the person remains the same. It is only perhaps his conviction that will drive him to whatever direction.
So, what I can say, the Jewish definition of sin that you mentioned is perfect in our English concept of sin. That is more or less exact. The inclination to do evil. Because when you use the word evil, that is already the what is
Nature.
no, what people are used to. Let me give you example. The whole world calls Hitler evil. So that is sin for them.
Personified.
Yes. What they look upon as evil are very horrendous, bad things. Very wicked, very cruel, very ruthless. So, unless you are a bank robber, you are a thief, you are a kidnapper, you are a liar, you are, what else? A rapist. If you do very seemingly, I say seemingly, in the eyes of men, you do wicked things according to what the world sees as wicked, then that is sin. Now, why am I saying this? Because They don't know there is another definition of sin that is, shall we say, not close to what they thought sin was. Because what they see as sin is doing very horrendous crimes. Hello?
Yes. Oh, continue.
But there is a definition of sin that means a very surprisingly simple mistake, a simple oversight.
And failure.
Yes, and I will define it, they define it as missing the mark. When you say missing the mark, people do not regard it as something grievous, something that they should worry about. They take it lightly. You see, that is the surprising. I'm looking for the book of Richard Gann on the sin of Adam while I'm talking. So the definition of sin, whether Hebrew or Greek, that is surprisingly different from the mindset of many people today, even Christians, is the definition of missing the mark. I saw the book now. Oops. Sin of Adam. Okay, got it. I'm opening it right now. So, the definition or meaning, missing the mark, for others, it's a small, light matter. It is not something to be taken seriously that they have sinned against God. But many do not realize it is in the smallest matters that they gradually fall into disfavor with God. Hello?
Yes.
The smallest matters, I could give example, are the minute instructions given by God for many things.
Like.
Example, being Berean. It is commanded by God how we should process information coming from others. Proverbs 18:13.
Proverbs 18:14.
No, 13. You want to read that?
No. 18:13.
Yes. You want to read that verse?
No, I have to get the Bible.
Okay. I'm going to pause this because it's important. Okay, get the Bible. Please read for us.
Proverbs
18:13. This verse, people do not realize, had something to do with being Berean.
I am now at 18:13, and it says, "He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him."
Okay, you know what that means?
When the person
Suddenly interjects. He does not let the others finish.
Yes.
So,
Before the person even know anything about the matter, he already speaks about it.
yes, as though he knows everything. Stressing to be wise, they become fools.
He will become a failure.
Yes. Now, the failure is failure to listen. I've been accused of that. Okay, of course, I strive to listen more than others because others I see are very quick to judge without knowing the facts of the other side, and they judge unrighteously. Judging the smallest matters is sin. If you fail to judge righteously, you get the picture? You cannot stay neutral. You have to judge the smallest matters. You cannot say that's their problem. You have to declare what is sin and what is not, what is right and what is wrong.
Proverbs 19:9 says, "A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish."
You know, there is a false witness that is evidently grievous, but there is a false witness that people take lightly. How about you misunderstood someone? How about you
Have wrong definition.
you have a false concept of someone?
That's right.
That is sin. And when you speak it out, it becomes a false witness.
Mhm.
So, I'm going to read from the book of Richard Gann, What is Sin? Dictionary defines sin as transgression. He's reading from a dictionary of religious and moral law, especially when deliberate.
In Tagalog term is pagsalangsang.
Yes. Another sentence, a condition of estrangement from God as a result of breaking His law.
Estrangement would be
Alienation.
different.
Disfavor from God.
Favored.
Yes. However, in the Bible, there are several words in the Hebrew and Greek that are translated sin. In the Old Testament, so we're going to use Hebrew now, there are 3 Hebrew words that are translated sin. Pesha, Strong's Concordance 6588. Pesha from H6586, a revolt, national or moral religious rebellion, sin, transgression, trespass. Okay. Second, Avon, Strong's Concordance 5771. Avon, Avone,
Avon.
H5753. Have you heard that from in your classes?
Ano?
Not
Is
yet.
it Avon?
Yes. Perversity, moral evil, fault, iniquity, mischief, punishment.
Did you said Avon earlier?
That's the second one. The first one is Pesha.
Yeah, and the third is Avon.
No, the second. I've not yet reached the third.
So it's
Missing the mark might be...
it's Avon, not Avon.
It's same spelling with the product Avon. It defines fault, iniquity, mischief, punishment of iniquity. So, the third is chata. Chata. Strong's Concordance 2398. Chata, kautao, a primary root verb to miss. To miss. Here it is, the third one. Missing the mark, to miss.
It's Sata.
C-H-A. But it's pronounced letter K. Cow. Katao. Kautao.
Satao.
Ka.
Akatao.
K-H in the Book of God. Of course, he copied from the Strongs.
Katao.
To sin, to infer, to forfeit, lack, expiate, repent, causate, lead astray, condemn, bear the blame, cleanse, commit sin by fault, harm he hath done, loss, miss, make offend, offer for sin, purge, purify, make reconciliation. So this is closer to missing the mark. He said all 3 describe sin, yet there are differences. Notice the difference between iniquity and transgression and sin. Iniquity he will define as inequality. It is against equity.
It is not the same, meaning they're different.
Yes, he quoted Psalms 32 verse 5. I acknowledge my sin, katao, to you, and my iniquity, avon. So there's difference between iniquity, sin. I have not hidden, I will confess my transgression, pesha, to the Lord.
Yes, sir.
So, I think the first could be missing the mark, iniquity,
Kataw.
maybe his actions, his that has inequality. Transgression might be against what was written, against the statutes of God. Transgress, go beyond what was written, and you forgave the iniquity, avon, of my sin, katao, Selah. Exodus 34 verse 7. Keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, iniquity, avon, forgiving iniquity, avon, and transgression, pesha, and sin, katao. By no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and the children's children to the third and fourth generation. I'd like to say something, Brother Omar, because it hit me, hello,
Yes.
visiting the iniquity of the fathers to the children in the third and fourth generation. We have what we in the church as this hukum ministry, the reckoning. Have you heard of that? Reckoning.
Yes, the term reckoning is
Checking up that if they do exactly what was instructed. It's like admonition and follow-up. It's like supervision. Like a therapist supervising a person what to eat.
check out.
Yes. It has checkup, it has guidance, and many other things. Now, if we look at iniquity or sin as missing the mark, a sin per se, then if it's missing the mark, then many families are missing the mark every day. Even ministers, even Christians.
And there's no guilt about it.
They don't feel any guilt. It's the role of the counselor, the guidance counselor, the supervisor, the reckoning, to make him realize that it's a small matter. Example, I taught Sister Lisa how to use the rod to her child. She uses the rod. Traditional people use the rod in a wrong way. Sometimes, coincidentally, they correct children, but most of the time they don't.
Or they use the rod only for a threat.
That's one. Another is when they could not bear it anymore. When they could not bear the iniquity or disobedience of the children anymore. And others use the rod just for any whim. But biblically, you use the rod to train the child. So you don't necessarily have to hit him very hard. You just need to tap him lightly. You have to hit him very hard if, of course, you're just starting out and he got used to being disobedient and disrespectful. But once you use the a heavier force just to rein in a child, if you closely monitor, closely supervise, you don't need to repeat those heavy-handed punishment again. You just need to tap him, oh, this is what you do, this is what you do. And the child, as time progresses, will learn. And as he grows up, he will never get punished anymore. When he grows up, he will just become obedient. He will just get used to being obedient.
He should not suffer for the same iniquity.
Actually, the disobedience of the children is because of the fathers. That's why the language in Exodus, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon their children. It is the fathers, the parents,
Corrected.
who are to blame. That's why their children have iniquity. Because they took something lightly. They took it lightly that what? They took it lightly that do not need to use offensive rod. They do not need to follow the instructions how to do that. If there is an available instruction for them, they refuse. They would rather lean on their own understanding how they would apply that. And for them, that is not sin. They miss the mark, yes, but for them, they take it lightly. Oh, I just committed a small mistake. What I'm saying a while ago is that small mistake will grow. And that small mistake that will grow into a permanent nature of the child or of the parent, and eventually they will have a hard time. And because of that small mistake, that that mistake, we could agree it's small because it's not irrevocable. It's not something that it could not easily resolve. But they do not resolve it because they look upon it lightly. You get the picture? Because they look upon it lightly, they do not resolve it. It's easily resolved because it's small. But they do not resolve it. It could easily be resolved. They do not resolve it. They do not immediately take that matter into their hands to correct it. They ignore the reckoning. They do not want the reckoning. What happens to them? Then that seemingly small sin of missing the mark grows. The worst thing is they do not identify it as grievous, as the apparent sin or iniquity or transgression or wickedness. You get the picture? Wickedness as what people would identify as evil. In the definitions I gave you, not all are seen by people as evil. When you transgress, you went beyond something. When there's iniquity, although others look upon the word iniquity as something evil, but in reality, iniquity could go as light as not being fair. Get the picture? If you're not Berean, you're not being fair.
And just.
You're not being just. Because you fail as a judge to comprehensively, objectively, exhaustively exhaust all the evidences of the other side. Or even give the other side all chances. But when they go to court and when somebody would go to prison, they're careful. They could reverse their decision if new evidences come to light. You see that? What about financial transactions? They're so careful to investigate. You see? They're so careful to get proofs of their payment or what? Or contract. But what about spiritual instruction? Spiritual instruction for some churches are not as progressive or as complete as what the Lord has revealed. But they're not to blame if they have never heard of it. But what if they have a chance and they just refuse to do it? What is by nature they're already closed-minded? They only want to listen to their own denomination, their own group. What if they do also listen to others, but they are selective in whom they should listen? They have that discrimination in whom they should listen.
Discrimination would be sin.
Yes, that's iniquity. God is no respecter of persons. He expects us not to be a respecter of person. James chapter 1 or 2. Is it chapter 1, chapter 2? God is no respecter of person. When someone arrayed in fine clothes goes to a meeting, they give him the best seats in the house. People give the person the best seats. It's not exactly the dress, but if the person is a big shot, a big time, you give him the best seats of the house. When you see a poor person, that's what's said in James. You give him lesser consideration, lesser seats of the house. Now, did you know that is happening today? Well, not just in giving reverence or acknowledgement to some important big shot person, but also on whom they want to listen. If it's a foreigner, they would rather listen to it.
And having biases would be sin also.
Amen. But they took it lightly. They never realized it's a big deal. It's no big deal. If they could be confronted with it, they would admit it. But hey, it's no big deal. But because of that attitude, they will never progress.
Progress would be
In the Word, they would never receive progressive revelation from God, especially the important ones. Unless it came from their own favorites, they would never receive it. But you know, God's way of humbling His children, sometimes God will use those whom people despise to give revelation to them. And it's a it's a lesson for me that those what I was trained to despise in my, shall we say, younger years in the ministry or in my previous church for my pastor, I despised other end-time churches. I despised other groups that are not from our own.
My whole life I place in your hands. God of mercy, humble, I bow down in your presence at your throne. My whole life I place in your hands. God of mercy, humble, I bow down in your presence at your throne. For I call, you answer, and you came to my rescue, and I wanna be where you are. I wanna be there. For I call, you answer, and you came to my rescue, and I wanna be where you are. Take me there. I wanna be where you are. I wanna be there. I wanna be there. Like it was the first time. I wanna be there. In my life, be lifted high in our world. Be lifted high in our love. Be lifted high. In my life, be lifted high in our world. Be lifted high in our love. Be lifted high. Be lifted high, higher. Oh, in my life, be lifted high in our world. Be lifted high in our love. Be lifted high. Oh, in my life, be lifted high in our world. Be lifted high in our love. Be lifted higher, higher. In my life, be lifted high in our world. Be lifted high in our love. Be lifted high. One more time, let's sing it out. Be lifted in my life. Be lifted high in our world. Be lifted high in our love. Be lifted high. Be lifted. Be lifted. Be glorified. to offer